And we're back! That's my radio announcer voice. I know I did that once before, but hey, I felt like doing it again. But I'm back here today with yet another video, and in my last video, I talked a bit about the election, and I talked a bit about the media, and I sort of want to kind of add a bit on that, on the media. Now, I can remember a few years back, I was working a job, and I was talking to one of the employees who worked there about the future of television, the future of movies, the future of entertainment. And I remember he said, in the future, it's going to be about you. It's going to be about the people. People are going to be the new content creators. That is what's going to happen in the future. It's going to get more democratic. And I pretty much agreed with him. I agreed with him on a number of levels, because I do see that happening, and I do see it happening now, and I think it will continue to happen. Because, that's just the direction things are going in. For example, I was talking about in my last video, people really got to see that the media is very biased nowadays. I don't think the media has ever been more partisan than it is now. And, that's mainstream media. Your MSNBC, your CNN, your Fox News. And I believe a lot of that media is dying. And the reason why I say that is you need to look no further to the demographics that are tuning into that kind of media. For example, the average age of the person who watches Fox News is 68. The average age of the person who watches CNN is about 60 years old, 59 or 60. And MSNBC, I'm not sure, I believe they do poll a bit of a younger audience. But a lot of mainstream media, it does attract an older audience. They're the ones who are watching these cable news shows. I think right now, Megyn Kelly with The Kelly File has the #1 show on cable news, followed by Bill O'Reilly. And after that, I'm not too sure. I know with MSNBC, or I don't know if I believe it was pretty much like The Daily Show, but I know it was Jon Stewart who was actually the one who was attracting more of a liberal audience for a while, and that was kind of because he kind of sort of marketed himself as this real cutting edge kind of guy, right? Jon Stewart, this real cutting edge kind of guy who was trying to appeal to the younger people who in ever increasing numbers aren't watching as much TV now and are watching more internet content. So he's trying to pull these people in, and it's just kind of what he was doing. And I've never been a Jon Stewart fan, and even before he got political, I was not a fan of him. Going back to his MTV days, which had to have been about 1993 when I first saw him. I've never been a fan of him. Always thought he had kind of the smug, kind of smarmy thing about him. But, if you are a fan, I'm just saying, my opinion. I just never did. And, he would have, Bill O'Reilly on his show one time, and I just remember he was like, okay, Bill, I'm going to get you to admit to white privilege on my show. You will admit that there is white privilege on my show today. It's just, why? I don't know, but never been too big a fan of that guy. But, that kind of media, mainstream media, like I said, it really is dying. It's really on a decline. Not as many people tuning in. In fact, only 6% of the population in America believe that the media is honest. Only 6. If you count only millennials, it's 2%. So, in ever-increasing growing numbers, people are just not trusting the media. They're not trusting the media now even more because of the way they kind of spun that election, I really felt Hillary was going to win, and it's like, oh no, it was, the polls were all biased, very biased reporting. They spin things their own way. Recently there's some mainstream news individual who was reading something about Trump, and he cut off the whole first part of the article he was reading from, read only the part that would fit his agenda, and spun it his way to further fit his agenda. So they spin a lot of things. That's what's happened with this mainstream media. Now, on the internet, things are a bit more different. Bit more, I don't know, I kind of notice, seems like, as opposed to like a liberal or Democrat, seems like a lot of the people I get who talk about current events and news tend to be a bit more libertarian on the internet. That's just what I've noticed, and from the various internet news things I've been to, such as like Stefan Molyneux and all that. He definitely has a growing site. I remember when he was practically nothing and just talked about philosophy. Now he's gotten huge, talks about politics a lot. There's others as well. So, that, form of media is growing. And I think it'll continue to grow. I think there'll continue to be people who are, content creators. There'll always be a demand for the news on, local news and the weather and that sort of thing. People are always going to want that. But as far as these like opinion news, cable shows and all that, it looks right now like there's a lot of popularity of that on, the internet. And kind of, a lot of things is kind of changing. I know young people may not be, they may not be too thrilled with the delivery of the news a lot of times, and kind of that way a lot of news people will talk, where they'll be like, well, I don't know about you, Gloria, but it appears to me that someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. I don't know. It's just and that's just how it is. That's how a lot of these news guys kind of are. But it is changing. It is changing, and it's changing quite a bit. Just ask a millennial when the last time was that they bought a newspaper. With me, I like newspapers, and sometimes, because I like history and all that, I will look at old newspapers and stuff, but, that's just me. That's not the masses, and, that's usually not the millennials, unless it's a rare, random individual who, like I do, likes to look at old newspapers just to see, how things were in the past. But that's, not what the masses are doing. The masses, especially millennials on the internet, getting a lot of their news from internet sources because, like I said, the mainstream media is dying. It is dying. It's only a matter of time. Like I said, Fox News is number one, followed by CNN, and then MSNBC. And there are now YouTubers who get more hits on their YouTube channel than some of these MSNBC people. There's YouTubers who have shows that are more popular than, say, Rachel Maddow. That's what's happening right now. That never happened before. It was never been this democratic. It's never been in the hands of the individual like it is today. That's what's happening. It's becoming more and more democratic. You have the say of, what you want to put out there, what you want to create. And, anyone can do it. just get a webcam or, phone, maybe a microphone, and, you're good to go, as opposed to MSNBC or CNN, where they have, a multi-million-dollar newsroom. They have the anchor people with six-figure salaries. They have, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment that they use to broadcast. Just the production of this stuff alone is very expensive. But, that's on TV. That's even more money. I mean, it's very expensive to do that. As opposed to some people now that have popular shows, and it's just some guy in his bedroom doing it on a laptop. So, yeah, that's what you're starting to see, and I do believe that's the future. Now, older people may not think of that as the future, and that's largely because when a lot of these new things happen, they're kind of thought of initially as kind of being like crappy little novelties. But then, over time, that changes, and that's what's happening now. A lot of internet information, when the internet first came out, was thought of as kind of crappy, not good, lesser, but that is just not what we're seeing now. I mean, more people are getting information off of the internet and just kind of like, okay, well, maybe this source is not good, I'm going to get another one. Maybe this isn't as good, I'm going to look for another source and kind of do my research. And I myself kind of like researching things, so I do personally enjoy doing this sort of stuff. But yeah, just mainstream media, like I said, it is dying, and, dying kind of a slow death, but I do believe, it will, and it's kind of interesting. I just saw something with Geraldo Rivera was talking about how the mainstream media has never been more partisan, and it's never been more biased, and all this, and I always kind of thought, wasn't Geraldo Rivera kind of part of the mainstream media? I don't know, I just kind of thought of him as kind of a part of the mainstream media. I definitely thought of him as kind of the guy that sort of fueled the whole, satanic panic of the 1980s, when, you'd have all these people on these, like, talk shows talking about, different things involving Satan and all these horrific events that were taking place in America, and scared a lot of people. And I don't actually know Geraldo's position on this, but I do remember that he kind of did popularize that whole thing that was going on, because he did report on it a lot. But yeah, so that's all I have. That's all I've got. If you did watch this video, and if you liked it, again, as always, I do thank you for watching my video, and have a great night.